Boom, we're live. Let's talk LifterLMS today. Folks, we are live. My name is Kurt. I've got Magic Will Middleton with me today. We're going to be here for the next, hour or so talking about all things LifterLMS. And we want to give a quick and early shout out to Jacob, who was sure to let us know that, hey man, I'm here. So Jacob, welcome to the pre-sales call. If you got any questions or any ideas with LifterLMS, I encourage you to put those in the comments. Other than that, if you are tuning in, and I see a lot of people are coming in today, so that's good. Put a comment in. Let us know where you're at, where you're from. And you know what? If you got questions about LifterLMS, chuck them on in there so we can take a look at what you got going on. Will, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting set up on some new tech. I got the Apple Watch back on my wrist. I've had it for a while, but I'm learning how to use it again.
I did a smartwatch myself and attach it to my new Samsung phone. And I don't normally like wearing watches, but I've been watching my heart rate and junk like that and going to the gym, and I wanted to connect to the spin cycle and all that nonsense. So yeah, I don't know. I'm getting old, man. I don't know if I need all this tech. A lot of people my age just sit on a porch and drink spiked iced tea in the afternoon.
That sounds like a much more fun time than the Apple Watch and a treadmill.
Apple Watch and a treadmill. Dude, are you treadmilling it up? Are you doing a lot of activity on the machine?
Yeah, I'm getting into more cardio stuff, more working out for health rather than just working out for vanity.
I'm not going to say it was for vanity because the mirror scares me, but I was at the gym a couple weeks ago. I think I might have told you this already. And I'd been working out with my son at Planet Fitness, but not bicycling like I normally do. And I caught a glimpse in the mirror in there, and I was like, holy crap, that's not going to work come mountain bike season. I'm as wide as a barn door, man. I haven't gained a lot of weight numbers wise, but I just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, that's got to stop. I got to shrink it back down and, lean out, I guess, a little bit. So we got some comments rolling in. Jacob says, hello, can you see and hear us?
We cannot.
That answer would be no. That answer is definitely a no. We don't do a shared Zoom call anymore because people during the pandemic got stupid. So we stopped doing that, and we went to the StreamYard example where we can take your questions and comments in through the comment section, and then we can, obviously answer for you or come up with screen shares or try and point you in the right direction. The next one we have is kind of a longer question. It says, from Michelle, my question today is regarding the add-on solutions. I'm looking to launch a book in the fall and have participated in the launch teams in the past. Some use Facebook groups, some use Slack, some use Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks is pretty popular. I've seen a lot of people dumping into that. I'd love to keep everyone on my platform. How does social add-on or groups work? I love this question. First off, I want to give a shout out to Michelle for writing a dang book. I've published a couple myself, and I know the pain and agony that goes into finishing a book and publishing it. And I also work with Working Writers Co. So Working Writers Co., workingwriters.co is they're a pair of people out of Canada that actually help people launch their first book. So I'm real involved in the book stuff. Will, I have my own opinions about keeping people on the site. What are your thoughts?
I think it's if people will interact on your site, and if they're interested, if that's if they have some kind of stimulus in their day to log into your site and chat with others, that's the best way to do it. The challenge I see is that a lot of people who go with a Facebook group or a separate group off their website is really just trying to catch people on the platforms they're on. So as long as you can get people on your platform, you're good to go. But that big challenge is getting them to want to talk there.
Will, I think you articulated what my thoughts are. I love the idea of, I don't care if it's a Buddy Boss site. I don't care if you're using social learning from LifterLMS. You could be using, a Buddy Press integration. There's all these different ways to gather this kind of community into a site. But what I have seen multiple times is that unless you've got, 500 to 1,000 users coming into your website, the energy and the activity in that social tool is left wanting, right? So a good rule of thumb is, roughly 2 to 5% of your audience will participate at a high level. And so if you have 1,000 people and you have 2%, that's a couple hundred people. That's great. Now you got a couple hundred people in that are commenting or sharing or messaging back and forth. But if you've got 25 people, 25 members in your site or 50 members in your site, it might be a little premature to do social directly on the site. In that case, I would leverage the net of social. I would use LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook to try and cast out that social net and bring them to a landing page or an introductory product to try and get them involved in the site. And I probably wouldn't launch the social tool until I had a higher membership rate. That makes sense, Will? Did I say it right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you could also try to seed some kind of reason to talk on your website. So if you were to run a Facebook group and a LifterLMS social learning side by side, it could be like, hey, if you want to share private information, screenshots of your website, whatever, that's for our private social area, or something like that. You could probably fabricate some kind of reason for people to need to go to your social area. And once you have that separation of like, or like you said, you could just hit a point where you have so many students that it's going to work out with the numbers to have people talk on your website, or you might be able to find some kind of a reason to that people are going to want to talk on your site and not want to talk in a Facebook group. But yeah, I think I could share my screen here and talk through the LifterLMS social learning versus groups. Let's see, there we go. So this is my demo site. You can get a demo site like this, lifterlms.com/try. It's just a $1 site with all the Lifter add-ons installed on it. And so if I go over here to community timeline, we could take a look at LifterLMS social learning as an option. This is a product included in the Infinity bundle, or it could be purchased individually. What this does is create a timeline for each of your courses and memberships. So instead of a Facebook group that might contain all the members of your website, this is only going to be a timeline available to people who are in the primary real estate course, or the only people who are going to be able to access this timeline. A limitation of the system right now is that you can't put pictures in these comments or posts, but they can type back and forth to each other. I worked with a domestic abuse program that worked with social learning perfectly. The nice thing about having that in the website for that course example was that they could do username only, right? Because the people in the course wanted to be anonymous. So on the WordPress website, they can be anonymous, but in a Facebook group, they couldn't be. So that was an example where social learning was just perfect, because the challenge of getting people to talk, it was really like, this was the solution, because they want a safe space to talk anonymously. And this is a perfect solution for that.
Yeah. Another perfect solution, Will, is when you have a subject matter that big tech would consider misinformation, or whatever you want to classify that. So let's say you had a group for people that were adversely affected by a vaccination. You couldn't talk about that in Facebook without getting shut down. So some folks will move that conversation to what we call decentralized social. And that's an example there. So, for anonymity is great for subject matter that might not be welcome in certain social platforms. This is a good avenue. And then, Will's just killing it with the demo here, so I'll shut up.
Forums page is blank. But the forums would be a BB Press thing. That's not a Lifter social learning. Real quick, the Lifter social learning features are: you've got the timeline, you've got the community directory, which you can turn off if you want to, and my profile, where people can set up their own profiles. But yeah, so that's the three main features of social learning. And then groups is another one that was brought up in the question. Now, groups wouldn't be a solution for a social community. Groups is more of a solution for selling into another organization. So if you sell into I don't know what this is, Future Scholars Alliance is probably like some kind of an educational thing. So if we were to sell to an educational institution that is interested in some course curriculum on our platform, we could use LifterLMS groups to sell maybe 10, 20, 100 seats in this course. Which one? The college planning course. We could say, hey, send me a check for this amount of money, and I'll create you a group on my website for 20 seats. And that deal would be created offline, email, or however you want to broker that deal. And then as the website admin, we just add some seats. So if they paid for 100 seats, I take up one of the seats. So it would be 101. And then I'm going to move my window. There we go. Save. And so now I have 100 seats available, and then I can invite a group leader to add their members to the group. So I would just invite a group leader, whoever paid that invoice, and they can add their 100 members. But yeah, that's LifterLMS group. So that would not work probably for the groups thing, or for the book launch project. This is more for selling into an organization. Unless you did something where people are like, hey, I want to buy 100 copies of your books for my employees. You can be like, okay, I got the book in an online course format. Here's the group. But really, groups is designed for like selling into businesses or selling into schools. But I guess before we jump on the next question, what do you think about groups, Kurt? You've used it a lot.
I've used groups a lot for group selling to corporations. So a corporation wants to do, let's say there's like a leadership course and you sell that out to like 10 different companies and each company has 50, 100 or 150 seats. Part of the reason that I'm so fond of groups is because you sell that company the 50 seats and you set up the group for them. And then you don't have to do crud after that because the group leader that's at that company invites the users, tracks their progress, tracks their grades, and they do it like they're thrilled to get access to it, when in reality, they've taken the work off of my plate of, can you send me a weekly status report? Can I get a CSV file from you? Can you talk to the HR director about blah, blah, blah? If I give them access to the site as a group and I make them a group leader, they become self-managed. And so that's one of the reasons I really like I have a lot of clients that use the groups feature in that scenario. So the internal training, the corporate training, the other thing that works really good is if you've got curriculum that's being used by other schools. So sometimes the schools will prefer to actually use the groups feature instead of having different instructors sign into the website, which is a different process. So you can have instructors work on your website that have access to the back end and reporting and student grading and stuff like that. But then they're in the back of your site. And some people, some of my clients would prefer to give them group access and let them access the progress for their students and the grades through the front end instead of giving people access to the back end. It's just a preference thing. So it's worked out really well in that regard. I think groups is a fantastic tool, but it's very use case specific. So if you were thinking of groups as being like a social thing, like maybe what you see groups doing in Buddy Boss or in Paid Memberships Pro, it's not that level of interaction. It's just literally a grouping of people going through the curriculums.
Exactly. Awesome. And then Jacob had a question here. My question would be how to change the fields in the dashboard of the users. Is there a way to do it visual, or need to change the HTML? Change the fields in the dashboard of the users. So I think what this question is referring to is here in the student dashboard area, there's an edit account form. And then on the purchase page, there's also a form that looks very similar to this. And you can edit these using an add-on called LifterLMS Custom Fields. Jacob, feel free to post in chat if I'm on the right thing, but this is the dashboard of users. Is there a way to edit the fields? It could also be referring possibly to the reporting area. But yeah, so
I was going to bring this up actually out of our we have another question in our Facebook page that I was going to bring today. And you're a great person to bring this to, Will, because you explain it so much better than I do. There's a ton of people that for some reason they're looking at the dashboard and they're like, I just want to design a custom dashboard that doesn't look anything like this. Like we literally have a user in Facebook right now that's saying, I want to develop a custom course page, but I don't even want like the syllabus or the curriculum or the sidebar or that. He just wants a blank page. And I'm like, well, that's not what an LMS does. An LMS uses dynamic content to populate those areas. Right. And so like the dashboard is made with dynamic content and it adopts the look and feel of your theme to an extent. But other than, I think in settings, we could take out like the things that are in the sidebar, right? So we can take out the my grades and the user certifications, my groups, you can take those out. Mm-hmm. But changing the overall look of the dashboard, I'm just going to be blunt and transparent on this call. I'm getting a little flustered with trying to answer people that are trying to reinvent the wheel on dashboards and dynamic content embeds.
Yeah, so the theme styles sometimes declare how the LifterLMS dashboard should look. LifterLMS has some styling out of the box, but it's like just a CSS file. You can't really edit that unless you were to write your own CSS to customize it. I do have some videos on YouTube if you happen to be a LifterLMS Elementor user about Lifter Elements. Tangible Lifter Elements is a way to compartmentalize some of these items. It doesn't do all of them because you'll still need my grades, my order history, and some things on here, but you can compartmentalize my certificates. You can compartmentalize my courses. You can even do some things with like my short codes, but it is a super popular request to be able to customize the dashboard. And there's not a super out of the box way to do that right now. It's just sort of kind of messing it up a little bit where you'd say, I'm going to remove my courses from this sidebar and I'm going to remove my courses from the middle. And what I'm going to do is take a short code and then design something in blocks or design something in Elementor on top here that displays the courses a little bit more the way I want it to show up. And if we do have that question come up in chat or anyone wants to see that, I could actually demo the pieces of the dashboard you can kind of take apart. But like you said, it's a lot of this dynamic out of the box stuff. And seeing as this is a post-purchase page, keeping it as simple as possible is usually what I try to do. So I would just strip out all the pieces you don't need and then try to leave it as close to stock as you can just to make your life as simple as possible. But if you did want to go crazy with UX design, you could do that. And you can change things like colors, like this orange and blue, change it to your brand colors and change the background color to more of an on-brand color. There's some branding elements you can do, but if you really want to pull this thing apart, there's some more intensive design to that. But then to the question in chat, if it was related to the dashboard form. So LifterLMS has a forms option under LifterLMS forms, and this is going to control three main forms. It's going to control checkout form, registration form, which most users don't use, but if you're doing a free registration or a voucher registration, you might use this. So checkout, and then edit account information. So if I edit the account information form, that's the form on the dashboard when students go to edit account, we see right here on the page. That's what this form is. And so I can style this any way I want with blocks. I could add blocks. I could add any block, an image block, anything. But with LifterLMS custom fields, we also have some options for radio buttons and checkboxes and text fields. That's an add-on in the Infinity bundle, or it could be purchased individually. LifterLMS custom fields that lets you add these custom fields to your dashboard page. LifterLMS comes with some stock fields. You can see there's first name, last name. That's in the free plugin. Address, display name, phone number, email, password. That's all in the free core plugin. But then you could do like license number or something. If you're doing a continuing education certification, you might want to do a license number. So what we would do in that use case would be probably a text field, and then we would call this one. And I was working with Kurt on a site last night, so I'm fresh with custom fields. We'll say license number, and then we would say, example license number. If we wanted to, we could add a description, but we could also make the field required if everyone is required to have a license number. Update this, and let's go to my dashboard and reload. So I should have my license number field down here at the bottom now. So I could enter in my license number as a doctor or whatever this website is about, and then I can go to my certificates as an example. This is just a common use case. You could really use these things any way you'd like, but these fields all generate a little custom short code that you can use. So if I go to engagement certificates and I design a certificate that includes license number, it needs to be on the certificate, we can do that. So let's just edit this certificate and imagine that I'm trying to put the license number field on all of my user certificates. Let's just say the license number. We probably do want to include the date too, but just for the sake of example, we'll say short codes right here. License number, you can see, is now one of my short codes. So I can insert this, and I can actually change this meta key from this random series of numbers. I'll show you how to do that in a second, but it looks just like this, and that will populate whatever that user's license number is on the certificate. Super, super cool thing to be able to do with custom fields. And if I edit the forms, I could also put that license number on the checkout field if I wanted to. So when they sign up for the course, they have to enter their license number. real quick how you edit that meta key. You've got the user meta key here, and then how it's stored in the database. So I would just update this to license number, and then just fix that here and here. So that way in the database, it's easy to see what's happening. Because if you see text 2837, it's like, what is that? But if you see license underscore number, you kind of can understand what that's referring to. So Lifter provides you the ability to update that too. So I'm not sure if that's right on par with what Jacob was asking, but that's how you can edit the forms and a little bit of the dashboard.
One more thing before you get rid of that screen.
Yeah.
Can you show them in settings real quick how to take the choices out of the left sidebar?
Yeah, absolutely. So on LifterLMS settings accounts, that's where you can scroll down and see all of these endpoints. And those endpoints are what populate here on the side. So if I want to say my grades, I want to remove that one because we're not using grades or something. Let's save changes. It's taking a second to do so.
That's all right. We got an hour, bro.
We do.
You were talking like they cut our time to 30 minutes.
No, yeah. We're just going through questions quick. I'm gonna reload. Okay, well, we'll try that again. So we'll remove my grades and we'll save changes. There it goes. And now if I reload over here, my grades is gone. And so you can cut any of these pieces off that you don't want to include.
I like that. I've done that for a lot of folks. It turns out that, people need to remember that an LMS is made for a ubiquitous pool of people to use it, right? And so not every tool fits every use case. Sometimes you don't use achievements. Sometimes you're not grading things. Sometimes you're not, so you can go through and take out those elements, and it really shrinks up your dashboard and makes it easier to look at.
Absolutely. I've never seen a site that's used all those features at once, except for like the Lifter Academy or something, but that's a demonstration purposes.
Here's a fun question, and I'm going to be real hesitant to answer it.
Oh yeah, how many people would take a crash your site if you're using HostGator compared to a better hosting company? That's a good question. It's always variable because what is HostGator? It's like you're hosted on an actual physical piece of hardware somewhere in a warehouse, and HostGator probably won't tell you what that is. So you don't know if you're on like some kind of 2005 server that's whatever, they're moving you around, or maybe it's a cloud server configuration, but you don't have access to the information to see what the underlying architecture is that's supporting your site. So how much memory is allocated to you, when this hardware is going to crash, if you're on hardware, if you're on a cloud service, that information is pretty important to answering that question. But I would recommend getting off HostGator for a LifterLMS website or WooCommerce site, because HostGator is like, they use heavy optimization practices, which is like caching and CDN, just aggressive stuff to speed up your site and make it cheaper to host. And what that means is that when someone buys a course, they load your website because they go to your domain name, they see the homepage, they click the sales button, they buy a course, and they're still seeing a copy of the website that's probably closer to them in the chain of a CDN or caching than actually talking to the server. So they put in their credit card, they buy the course, and it sends the data to the server that the user has purchased. But then the website that the person is actually looking at on their computer is an older version of the website from like a minute ago. And so the website's like, no, you're not a user. Like, we don't see any users for this account. And so you'd have to go then clear the cache and stuff like that as the website admin in order to get that user access. And you'll have all kinds of problems like that related to the optimizations. But even if you turn all the optimizations off, we still don't know necessarily what that hardware is. And I've launched my basic LMS sites as proof of concept on a budget host like that. But it's good to just get your first sales and get onto a more LifterLMS supported host like a Cloudways or a WP Engine or Kinsta or something that supports dynamic content and LMS plugins as fast as possible.
I always feel like that question's a setup, and I'm not accusing you of anything, Robotic Grow. I'm not accusing you of anything, but when someone says, how many can I put on this before something bad happens, or how many can I do? Remember that LifterLMS is the plugin that creates the platform or the infrastructure for you to put your content up and manage your people. but we don't really have anything to do with how you serve that, right? And so there's companies like WP Tonic. I do work directly for them. Great host. We just did a project, me and Will together, on Cloudways. I got to tell you, I took a website from one to another in Cloudways, and that transfer happened like in 20 seconds. It was amazing. I was like, I don't think it's ever happened that fast. Like, their website is live and running today, and that decision was made this morning, right? So it's like, wow, awesome. WP Engine is a great host, but if you use it with dynamic content, they cache a lot. They're pretty aggressive on caching as well. I put the link in for recommended resources, Will, just because I want people to see what our recommended resources are. But I think we should also just be blunt and say, as LifterLMS and a plugin company, we have sites with over 500,000 people in them that run and don't have issues. Not us personally, our clients, our people that use our product. I think the biggest site you said it's over 1 million, right? But Melissa wants one with 550,000 people in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the actual hardware that they're connecting to is super important when you reach that kind of scale. It's like the question about how many people can I add to this before it crashes. It's kind of like, how many times can I start my car while the oil life is at 0? It's like, let's find out. It's like, it's a challenging question to answer because you don't have all the factors kind of in play when you make that decision. So the best thing to do is get out of those environments that don't support dynamic content as fast as possible.
Yeah. Jacob's got another question that's completely different than the dashboard question. You ready for something completely different?
Yeah.
Language. That's another thing that comes up a lot. This reminds me of office hours. We have someone that comes to if someone has a universe bundle or an infinity bundle, they can come to an office hours call that we host every week, and we help people work through obstacles, problems, speed bumps. And what's cool about it is it becomes groupthink, right? Because it's a shared Zoom call that's closed to people that we know, so we don't have any Zoom bombers coming in. And it's just really, really fruitful for good problem solving. But this does come up. So Loco Translate's a tool that I've heard Will mention a ton of times, where you can translate a button, or you can translate a word in your website where it's like a find and replace. So you can change the words on your buttons or your menu items, because you're right, even if you translate the site, some of the items still come up in English.
Yeah, and I could LifterLMS.com / I was going to say / something. I don't know. It's Google LifterLMS translate into another language, and then just click on the link there. I was on this doc here. I could say LifterLMS.com / docs / use LifterLMS language English. That's a weird permalink. But the use LifterLMS in a language other than English, we recommend using the Loco Translate plugin. That's going to let you translate your entire website. I just installed that, and we could see, if we don't have any other questions coming in, if I can figure it out on the fly. So I haven't done this one in like a couple of years. I use a lot of sites with Loco Translate, but I'm usually not a translator, so I'm not the one responsible for sorting this out, because I'm really only a native English speaker. But let's see what we can do here. So I installed my Loco Translate using community contributed translation file. You can find the status of the translation file here. So we're looking for German. If you'd like to use translations, creating a language file, you can create the language file. Let's just see if I can download one of these. Have you ever done this translation before, Kurt? I
haven't done the full translation. I've done the translate a word in English to a word in English and then change the label of a button or something. But I haven't done this, no.
Let me see. Can I download this?
No time to learn like the present.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to download this PO file. It's somewhere in here. There's language it's like being a WordPress translator is now like a specific freelancer skill.
I'll give you that one. That's absolutely right. There's in some of the WordPress meetups I've been to, there's people that focus solely on accessibility. There's people that focus solely on multi-language. All of these are becoming sustainable niches to work in.
Yeah, exactly. So we got stable latest release. I could work on this here in the background and see if I could figure out how to download this. But you download a file to your computer that contains all the translations, and then you go into LifterLMS and you can upload the that file in under local translate here. We can set our languages available on our website and then upload files to translate any of our individual plugins, and then we can edit those files. If you wanted to use LifterLMS in like the core plugin, try to make my screen smaller, but the core plugin in a language other than English, let me just move my camera. There we go. We could go to the main LifterLMS plugin. Where is it on the list? I just want the... Do I have 2 pages of information here? See all themes, course cohorts. I'm just trying to see if I can customize the back end of like the checkout page, for example, is one where we would commonly want to change the styling. Oh, see all plugins. So there's so many plugins on this demo site. Oh, there it is. Okay. LifterLMS. And then here's where we can upload our file, or I could just click new language and type all my stuff in from scratch. Let's see. Do we have German? Boom. And then we select where we store the file in our plugins area. And usually you don't want to store it in a place where it'll be overridden with an update in the file structure, but that's why there's experts who handle this stuff. So let's see if I can go to a checkout page and find a string that I want.
I got something to say. I'm ready to burn out.
I have no clue what that is. Is that a... Let's see. So if we go to purchase billing information, we can change in the core plugin, like course or something. So, or terms. We'll do terms. So if I want to change that word terms into something else, I should be able to find it here in my source text and change it to German for terms. And then if I save this, if I could figure out how to save it, there it is. Let's see if this works. I might have to change my site language to German for that to work. So if I go to my WordPress settings, and this might not work because I haven't touched this in like a while, so I'm probably missing something. But if we go to general, let's do our site language into... Oh, and this is going to be actually in... Okay. Let's cross our fingers. There we go. German for terms. So now that my site language is German, it's using my translation for this string. So it looks like we don't even need a PO file to translate that, because it's the PO file is nice because if you want to take a community file that's already written out and translated, you can just upload it, or you could go one by one like I'm doing here and then translate each of the strings individually. Like now we got to go to access plans and change it. So we go to loco translate, plugins, find LifterLMS on the list. Go to, where is it? There it is. LifterLMS, and then we look up, this is the language I'm using. We look up access plans, because that's what it says. Could probably that. Oh, yeah, looks like it's the one I selected, access plans. So then we would, what do you know what German for access plans is?
No. No.
There we go. Okay, so we'll put that here.
I know
and then
courses is like Corso, right? Like KURSO.
Not too sure, but that didn't work for me. Maybe I got the wrong access plan item. Admin menu name. Let me make sure I got the right the right thing. No Lifter LMS gateways are installed. One-time only recurring access plans. Search access plans. No access plans found. Admin menu page for access plans. Like, that is my translation, and I am using this language. Maybe no access plans found. Oh, it says access plan. It's singular. So then there it is. Okay. So then I need to go back and paste that. Save. I typed plural, so that somewhere else it shows up plural. But now now we've got my translation is showing up here instead of the default. And this is pulling from the access plan data. This is pulling from, and so we could just change these strings individually, or at that that page I was showing, you could download a community contributed translation file, because there have already been some people, some generous German Lifter LMS users who have made their own full translation, gone through one by one, and they have downloaded it and uploaded it for the community to use. So you could work off of one of those too.
And a shout out to people that do that stuff. I mean, when I got involved with WordPress, I really didn't have any idea that a lot of this stuff is built with volunteer work. And I don't know what kind of mental stability it takes to do that stuff. But man, shout out to them for being able to provide that for others to use.
Absolutely.
Boom, let's shift gears. Michelle's back. Michelle, she sees that we have an integration with MailChimp. That's awesome, right? Says we integrate directly with MailChimp. She says, but I use Aweber. I'm sorry to hear that. We'll pray for you, Michelle. So does this mean I can integrate with my email marketing service, or that you cannot integrate with your email marketing service? I actually had a customer in Austin, Texas 2 years ago that used Aweber. It comes up every now and then. Some people still use it. Michelle, just because something doesn't have a direct integration with Lifter LMS doesn't mean that you're stuck without any options. I just wanted to throw it out there. Lifter LMS has a really active API, and I've got the URL for the resource on the screen right now. So in our knowledge base, you could look up, our REST API and make connections that way. Meaning if Aweber has an API connection, you can connect Lifter LMS and it can map that way. But an easier way might be to look at some other integration tools that are out there. Like WP Fusion's not the cheapest, but it's pretty active. But then there's Automator WP. There is, what are the other, Pabbly? There's a bunch of tools out there that will connect a CRM tool to an LMS. And so you can look at what you've got and then go that way. Now, the other option, and I'm just going to throw this out there because if I don't, I'm negligent if I don't just say it. There are some really good CRM tools you can put right inside your website. I just did a podcast interview with one this morning called MailMint, which is one I haven't heard of before, but MailMint. We did a podcast with them. It loads right in your website, and you can connect through Lifter LMS. Groundhog has a direct integration with Lifter LMS from the Groundhog side, which works. You have to set it up, but it works. And then Fluent CRM is an automatic integration with Lifter LMS. If you have a Fluent CRM Pro and you put Fluent CRM Pro in your website and you have Lifter LMS in your website, shebang, it just connects and works. It's an amazing thing. So I don't want to leave you thinking that you're out. If you have a giant list and you're nervous about moving it from one tool to another, I would almost encourage you to take a look at, even if you just do a free demo for 7 or 14 days or whatever they offer, just try it. Migrate your list over, put it in the site, see how it connects, and see how much happier you really are. Like Fluent CRM working in your WordPress website, it does funnels, it does automations. You can set up lead magnets that function and automate. I mean, it's really cool stuff. So could you connect to Aweber? Yes, you could figure out a way to make that connection, or you could find a cost-effective way to use a more modern CRM tool and integrate with Lifter right readily.
Awesome. Yeah, the for Lifter LMS users who are working with a big email list, or they're already already got an email list built. Lifter has some basic email functions built in the LifterLMS engagement system that lets you, if you're starting a business, if you're starting out and you don't yet have the budget or capacity in tech to have a separate email list management system, Lifter has some basic stuff for you. But I think as quickly as possible, you want to move into a CRM to manage your marketing material separate of your Lifter LMS stuff out of the box like that. But cool. I guess there was a question from Jacob about the order details stands rise $299 per year. There has to be. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'm wondering if it's dealing with VAT and tax and stuff like that, because I don't know.
JDIS chart. So I'm wondering, like, there's probably the currency settings. I'll pull up my thing again. Let's see. So if we go to the purchase page, we've got, I could change my currency on my website too. So if you're using Lifter LMS in a currency other than USD, you go to Lifter LMS settings, checkout, and you can change that. I'll show you confirm payment, force SSL. Oh wait, it was up here. USD. So is that a German?
Yeah, jar in German means a year.
Oh, okay. Let me save my changes. So now we should be charging in euros. There we go. So that's the euro symbol, right? I think it is. So the order details $299 per year. So then here, if we wanted to change this to a per year basis, what I would need to do is figure out what course I'm in, emergency budgeting. I'm looking at a checkout page for emergency budgeting. Then I would look that one up in my course list, edit my course, then scroll down to the access plans. I think it's the a la carte one. So then I do $500 every year. And so I'm assuming there's an issue with the translation of the word year or something per year. So then if you want to change that string, you go to Loco Translate plugins. That's fine. Loco Translate plugins. We'll find our lifter. Then we'll edit German language. We'll say per year. It's not in here. There's per was on there. Subscription schedule. So that is probably it. What was the word? JETIS. We'll just say that this is the
jar was year. JAHR.
So this is per, and then you do the this, so you represent the variable of, like, it could be one per blank s of like per days or per years. Save. So then we update here. Let's see if it works. So then we have year. So now we got to go translate year for X years. Maybe that's maybe it's this. I don't know. Then we do single would be char like that. I don't. And the translation expert would be much better at figuring out what all these strings are attached to. But let's see if this works. There we go. Per year. And then if we were to change this to what was it? I was in the emergency budgeting. Emergency budget.
Emergency. Cooling the gang, baby. Cooling the gang. Dropping it like it's hot.
Awesome. And so every year so we do 2 years. So now that should change it to a plural, right? Like if we go back up, no, just this for 2 total payments. And now we got to go translate that. But you can kind of see Yeah, we can kind of sorry. We can see how this is coming together. Perfect.
Boom. Boom. You and I pushing the same buttons ain't gonna work, buddy. Ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Jacob, we thank you, man, because like, here's the deal. If you guys don't ask the questions, we don't get to go live with this stuff, and then 50 other people that watch this don't get the information. So totally cool that you asked, and glad that we could help when we could. Richard came to us with a different question. And it's, these pre-sales calls are supposed to be about LifterLMS, but we ain't scared. We'll dive in. It says, I just installed MailPoet on one of my websites. Have you had any experience with that? I have. Will, have you used MailPoet?
No.
Okay, MailPoet is, I'm just going to say it the way I see it. And you know what? Maybe someone sues me later. I don't know. MailPoet's a great tool for like entry-level email marketing. Right, so it's great for newsletters. It's great for like a broadcast email, and the reason why it's great is because A, it's easy to use, and B, they've got some really decent templates right out of the chute. You can select the template, make your newsletter out of it, off it goes. Could I use Fluent for that? Could I use Groundhog for that? Yeah, I could, but I have installed MailPoet on websites that also have Fluent CRM. And that seems really counterintuitive, but here's the difference. A lot of the people that did that were using Fluent CRM for like sales funnels and automations. And then they were using MailChimp for more of the simple messaging and just putting out like a formatted email. So you could do that with Fluent, but Fluent's a little more complicated in its user interface, and MailPoet just seemed a lot easier to use. So if people wanted to make a quick newsletter and pop that out, they would do that. Now, the other thing that I remember, I like those lights. The other thing that MailPoet did, and I could be wrong about this because it's been a year since I've been in the back end of this, but I remember MailPoet having an option where it would send out like a weekly, I think it was a weekly or might have been a monthly update of like the newest post. And it was like an automated thing it would do. So it would say like, here's our newest posts for the week or our newest posts for the month. Wasn't sure how that really worked, but it was an option. And you would be able to select that and it would automatically send, a post update to your user base. Either, like I said, either weekly or monthly. I can't remember which that was. And I thought that was a really cool feature. And the reason I think it's a cool feature is because a lot of solopreneurs, they have the best of intentions, but they don't have the follow through to make something happen on a schedule. And so it was cool that the system did it.
Yeah, that is a cool feature to automatically have that in place.
Groundhog does that now too.
Okay, nice. Yeah, like I was thinking, like, is there a way to format that with a traditional CRM without any kind of like dedicated feature where you'd say like, because you can use RSS feeds, right, to read the last X amount of posts and then just dump that data into that's more complex though. Install MailPoet or Groundhog. I got a notification from my Apple Watch that says time to stand, and it's like I'm in a call right now.
Stand, run, drink a glass of water.
Right.
Boom. Jacob's back. Jacob's asking a Lifter question. Can LifterLMS create invoices automatically?
Yeah. So you can use LifterLMS PDFs. I don't know if you want to jump on that, Kurt. I just kind of jumped right in.
I'm happy that you did. Because I don't know. I see this more from European users than American users, because in America, people go to the cart, they buy something, they get the you've made a purchase thank you email, and it's done. Like, we're done with it. But people in other countries have been asking for invoices, and then most people manually generate an invoice on request, like we do at Lifter, right? Someone will say, I need an invoice, and we generate that. But talk to me about the PDF feature and how that works.
Yeah, so with LifterLMS PDFs, an add-on included in the Infinity Bundle or could be purchased individually, you can turn your certificates into PDFs. You can do, this is like a report card where students can download their reports for grades and progress, or orders and transactions as well. So I'm going to check this box in my LifterLMS PDF settings, And then what it does is if I go to any of my orders on my dashboard page, I'll have an option on all of them to download that as a PDF that I could use as an invoice. So this one here, I can save this thing right to my computer as a PDF with all this information in it. And I think the challenge is I don't know if custom fields can be included in here. The product was deleted. If I download this, does it work? Does it do what I want it to do? Open this in a new tab. Open that in a new window. Oh, and you can't even see my window. It does. It includes customer information. So let me stop my screen share. I got to share my what I'm looking at now. Share screen, share window, share my PDF. Share this. So this is what I'm looking at is my download. So this is what I download. And so if I had a custom field in here, I think it just pull that right in here for custom field. I haven't tested that, but if you put like a VAT number in a custom field, that might be worth a test on a demo site to see if that shows up here, because that would be everything you need. Is you've got the order details and the customer information. I don't know if you can add like details for the business, because you would also need business specific information on an invoice. So if I go to Lifter settings, see if there's anywhere for me to do that. So I'm thinking like checkout. I'm just thinking like I don't know exactly where that business information would go. Because when you manually generate an invoice, right, you just put it in there, but Lifter doesn't have a way to store your business information. So that's the challenge. Maybe it could go into the PDFs. Anything here? No, there's not like any place for me to export header. Oh wait, it said My Academy, right? So here's your business information, my business information, and VAT number or whatever you want to include. Let's try that real quick. That's kind of cool. So I reload and I download. Let me oops, shit here. Nice. And I included a special character which breaks it, but let me share what I'm looking at. Right here. So that worked. So that gives me business information. You can see up there at the top.
Yep.
So that is nice. That is slick. So yes, you can do an invoice with Lifter.
Fantastic, dude. We're nailing it today. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. If someone else has a question to bring to us, drop it into the comments. I just want to go public, and I want to say thank you to Jacob, Richard, Michelle, and Robotic Grow for all coming today and giving us some content to talk about. That's really awesome. Sometimes Will and I have to get desperate and dive into the Facebook page and look for questions, but you guys brought it today, so I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I guess, are there any interesting learnings from you this week, Kurt, of like anything LMS related that you've stumbled across or run into?
A couple of the biggest things is just like the stuff that we do outside of this, right? So, for instance, I mean, you just use the transfer tool by Honors WP to move from a LearnDash site to a Lifter site. And this is not a slam against LearnDash at all. It happens all kinds of ways, but we've been getting a lot of requests over the last year for, hey, I have a LearnDash site. How can I take it to Lifter? And for the longest time, it was, well, copy and paste. And then it became All Export WP was a tool that we had looked at. Mm-hmm. And then we just looked at transfer with Honors WP. And hey, Jacob, see ya. Looks like you're taking off. But it's just really cool to see how these tools work and to get more involved in like what the data is actually doing rather than just the visual interface.
Yeah, like it works with connecting associations between lessons and sections and courses, and so it makes the process even faster for migrating. And that's nice, because then You can really, because WordPress is a content management system. That's one thing I learned this week. I've known for years CMS, that's what WordPress is, content management, but I don't know what that means. And so I think it's like we use WordPress to build a website. That's just what that is. But it's like, no, it's actually, dedicated to storing, managing, and sorting your content. And there's some front end components with that, like your archives and your blog posts, and you can create your course archives and lesson archives and whatever. But you can use LifterLMS and LearnDash now as more content or LMS management system, learning management system, right? So you could switch between which learning management system you're using easier, which is kind of cool to have that flexibility of I'm on this learning management system. Now I'm going to manage my learning a different way. It's kind of cool to see like it's not necessarily like an online course building tool. It's a management system for your learning resources, which is distinctly different, and people can use it either way. But I like that with this honors WP transfer thing, it opens up the door to be like you can choose more easily how your management system data is stored, which is fundamentally kind of a cool idea in the spirit of WordPress.
Yeah, no, I totally dig it. It's when you think, like, I've been doing WordPress for 19 years. I think we're going on 20 years now. And you've been at it a decade, right? Mm-hmm. Somewhere close to there. What's cool is you constantly have something new in front of you. You constantly have like, okay, there is room to grow. There is excite. Like whenever you get bored, it's your own dang fault you're bored. I just got approved, and I'll make the announcement here, but I just got approved to run WordPress Meetup Hutchinson. So I'm in Hutchinson, Kansas. And I'll be bringing WordPress meetups to our area. And I got to tell you, this is the one thing that stressed me out a little, because now I'm like, well, it's the same as when I started helping Lifter. I'm like, I'm not qualified to help Lifter. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And then after a couple of years, you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I think it'll be the same with the WordPress meetup, but it's like now it's just ramped it up a level, right? What do I really know about WordPress, and how am I really going to be able to help people out? And it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So our first meetup week.
Awesome. We got a Richard in chat. Thanks for the information. I'll try to drop in here again. You guys are cool. You're cool, Richard.
You're cool, Richard. Boom. I like that. Good luck with Mail Poet, man. That's a good tool. Oh, now you got bubbles. Now you got thumbs up bubbles. What, dude?
There we go.
I was tempted. I almost bought an iMac just to play with it, just to use one, just to play with it and see if I could make it do. And then I was like, stop. I don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to have animations in my StreamYard.
Yeah, you could use like a OBS or something to do that too, or something to intercept your camera on your machine and then go crazy.
I'm already a little crazy. I don't think I need more crazy. You know what time it is, Will?
Time for me to finish eating this banana that I started before the call.
It is time for you to finish eating your banana. Dude, we are done. Folks, thank you so much for coming. It's been a very successful pre-sales call. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you don't have to wait a week to talk to us. You can jump into the LifterLMS Facebook page, Successful Course Builders, Successful Online Course Builders, and jump in there. It's an active community. We'd love to see you in there. You can ask your questions in there. And more than just me or Will might answer those questions. So it's a pretty cool group. And we will see you next week.